sleeping in separate beds?
It's not a good idea because you're taking away the intimacy, which is an integral part of a marriage. I have clients who come in who say that they've been sleeping in separate beds for 5 or more years, and I'm sitting there going, and this is why you're here. Why? Because that intimacy is gone. The relationship has taken that out of it. And I think that personally, sleeping in the same bed is really important.
In separate bedrooms are doomed for divorce. In fact, what the research shows is that couples who are able to restore and recharge and get their rest are better able to show up for themselves and their partners, which increases their fulfillment with each other. There are many different reasons why couples choose to sleep in separate bedrooms. Maybe because they have disruptive sleep patterns. Maybe because they have different wake cycles. And maybe because their preferences are different. Ultimately, this does not mean that your relationship is doomed. In fact, arguably, it can help enhance a fulfilling and lasting relationship.
And wives sleeping in separate bedrooms.
Again, I'm not a big fan of it. I know there are so many spouses that say, hey, we sleep in separate bedrooms, we've done it for decades and it's great for us, but I just think that the action of sleeping in the same bed with each other each night gives you an additional opportunity to connect. And it's not just sex and intimacy, it's being close to each other. It's even just the couple of minutes that you'll talk before you fall asleep. Those little windows of time are so valuable. We overlook them. Little windows of time to connect with each other. They are the most important thing in your marriage.
I take her like a red flag or something, but I don't care. I do not understand women's infatuation with the bed and sleeping together and why so much value with like love and affection and quality time is put into the bed and in the bedroom. I struggle with sleep so bad. The insomnia, my sleep schedule, my circadian rhythm is just so off and completely different than everybody else that my rest and sleep is like so valuable because it's honestly so scarce and hard to dial in. I truly hate the fact that like we're so tied in that like the bed is like this thing that like so much value is placed into. I've been into so many issues in relationships over like bedtime or like, oh, why aren't you coming to bed? The whole like how long of cuddling is appropriate before you fall asleep. I don't like sleeping next to people. I don't know why that's a thing. Sleep is made for like rest and recovery for the day that I just had and the day that I have to have tomorrow. And it changes so much of your quality of life to have bad sleep. And to have to like subject yourself to that every single day forever is insane to me. I need very specific sleep conditions in order to fall asleep properly. I get hot as hell. I like my pillow a certain way. I like my blanket tucked a certain way. I like to be touched or moved. I don't freak out about it. Like I don't get mad or nothing. Like inside of my head, I'm like I want my own bed. But it has caused this like biological need to like share that space and like attach it to like so much. It actually drives me crazy. Like there's a time and a place and a space for like cuddling and laying down and like being in that position. But for like actual sleep is not it.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Black Bert 91. We're here talking to you guys today. Whether sleeping in separate beds and separate rooms is the end of your marriage. Do you agree or do you disagree? I wanted to say first and foremost, I think for majority of people, okay, sleeping in separate beds usually is the beginning. Okay, I think for most couples, in most situations, in the most of situations, sleeping in separate beds, doing separate rooms is the beginning of the end. Okay, all right. And again, that does not mean that there aren't exceptions to the rule. I think there are definitely exceptions to the rule where, and there's going to be a mass of people that are going to be on this exception to the rule, where people actually want to have their own bed and they want to have their own room. Right now, again, a lot of people who are in that space, usually I'm going to put them into categories. Number one, you got an avoidant spirit. You know who you are. Number two, okay, all right, you're much older and have lived by yourself for a very long time. There's actually something that happens with people who've lived on their own for a very long time, that they I don't know what it's called, but they tend to take on these traits, which is that they actually don't want to share their space, their environment with other people. Right, you almost become like a recluse. So it's like it becomes very difficult then to share that with somebody else when you've lived on your own for a very long time. For some people, okay. Number three, I can also understand that some people, in this instance, well, some people, you know, when it comes to people, somebody snoring or making noise or whatever, this would be, a massive thing for them. You know what I mean? Like, and I get that. That makes total sense. That sometimes that may require you guys to sleep in separate rooms. But the majority of people, like, the action of sleeping together is a part of, quote unquote, modern society routine of us actually bonding in a way, right? So I'll give you my own personal experience before I jump into this topic. Let me just say that, obviously, now I'm not sleeping in nobody's bed because you go, somebody sleeping in mine. Okay, so, all right, listen. So obviously, I'm not doing that anymore. You know what I mean? When I was in Egypt, though, I slept in many a beds. And let me just say this now. There is something very powerful, okay, about sleeping in bed with somebody. I'm not talking about sexual intimacy. I'm talking about the physical intimacy. I'm talking about the negotiation that happens when you're sleeping with somebody, right? Somebody wants to put their leg on your leg. Some people like the duvet. Some people like to, cuddle up next to you. Some people like to back their bum into your midriff. Some like to cuddle a little bit. Some want to sleep, facing each other. Some want to do, bum to back, whatever you want to call it, whatever. There are many different routines for different people who like to sleep in the same bed, okay? Whichever that is, okay? But what I found is that the connection with that person increases for me specifically, and it might be just be me, increases. And I'm sure if they did a chemical test, I'm sure your serotonin and your oxytocin probably increases as you spend more time physically in each other's presence, sleeping in the same bed. Right now, the one thing I noticed was, for me, was and this is my own psychological thing, so I think it's psychological for everybody in different ways, right? It was a trust and a safety thing, right? I don't like sleeping in a bed with people that I don't trust. I think that's obvious, right? But I don't like sleeping in the same bed with people that I don't trust. So if I trust you, cool, innit? Do you get what I'm saying to you? But I think also one thing I loved was, and this was for me, and probably the way that I operate was, I loved somebody sleeping on my chest. It made me feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying to you? That's what I loved. And so for me, it's like, if I got married, that's a big thing for me. It feels there's a connection that comes when someone can sleep in the same bed with you and you can be connected physically. Now, are there going to be routine differences? Absolutely. For instance, I'm in the UK. I work to sometimes 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, right? So there are going to be routine differences. If my partner has work at 9 a.m. in the morning and has to go to bed by 12 at least, or maybe even a little bit earlier, that's 3 hours they may not see me in the bed in some nights. In my head, what I already calculated in my head was, okay, I may have to change my routine a little bit in order to make sure that sleep routine can be in place, because I believe in the sleep routine. I believe in partners sleeping together physically, right, and being next to each other. And I think that video where it spoke about just those little nuances of little bits of conversation, the little I love yous before you go to bed, the little, how was your day? Are you okay? Like, everything good? There's little notices and shifts as well of that person. If you went to bed with that person smiling and joking, and they came and woke up in the morning with a grouchiness, you know what I mean? Like, you're kind of already there. Do you know what I mean? And so for me personally, I think that for most couples, sleeping in bed is a really normal thing. It's a really normal thing. I think it is a powerful builder of intimacy. It's a very powerful connector for people as well. So when you take that away, I think you begin to start down a slippery slope. Now, I think there are exceptions to the rule. Like I said before, some of you snore too loud. Some of you got a room temperature issue. Okay, right? You definitely disagree on that. Okay, there may be bedtime routines that are very, very different, which I don't really. By the way, also, if you're somebody that needs to have I think there's some differences. Some bedtime routines don't really make sense as to why you're doing it. But okay, cool. Some of you can't sleep. We've got insomnia. That might be a little bit different, right? Or, they're temporary sleeping in different beds because you guys are having a fight. That's different, right? And I can understand that could be a major thing, especially snoring. I saw a lot of the videos, people talking about, oh, my partner snores very loud and da-da-da. And that makes sense. That generally makes sense as to why you yourself, okay, are not necessarily looking to stay in that bed. But I think the majority of us, like I said, happily will be in the same bed together. You know what I mean? Happily. Okay. And y'all be, screaming from the rooftops. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want roommates. Okay. So that you sleep in separate beds in separate rooms, kind of roommate-ish, as well. Okay. Someone asked a good question. Said, how does married couple exercise romance intimacy if they live in separate homes? Is the concept of marriage something you fully agree with? Now, I think what's interesting about this is, and it's interesting people do this. People go back to history and talk about the modern revolution of us sleeping in separate beds before. But what they don't take into account was, Negro, we were all broke. We were sleeping on the floor together. So this whole concept of it was an agenda that was pushed in later modern history. I'm like, no, we were broke for year on year on year. There is no separate room. It has never been separate room. You can't afford separate rooms. Only royalty could afford separate rooms. Only royalty can accept could actually do that. Okay, and I don't think we should be comparing ourselves to royalty. Okay, you don't even know how their marriages are. Just because they're royalty and they had money does not mean they were surviving and doing good marriages. You know, some people stay together because they have to, right? Okay, I don't know about you, but when I look at the history, it don't never look good seeing the royalty married together. You know what I'm saying to you? When they sleep in separate beds, ain't never been cute. So, but we were sleeping together has always been a normal thing. Has always been sleeping, whether it was sleeping on the floor or sleeping in the bed, right? Sleeping together is something that, look, if women can be around each other and their periods can time from simply being around each other long enough, I can tell you that sleeping together does something for you, right? When men go to war, do they not sleep next to each other? It builds experience. It builds camaraderie. It builds camaraderie. It builds a level of intimacy that you can't buy. That's not to say, again, that's not to say, I want to make it very, very clear. Okay, all right. That's not to say that that works for every single couple. We're talking about anomalies versus the general consensus. Whenever there's an anomaly, I don't make it a rule. If you start making anomalies the rule, you're going to be in trouble. Now, some of you are probably going to say, I want to sleep in my own bed. My question is why? Some of you said you want to sleep in your own room, your own bed. My question is why? Why is that actually an important question? You know what I mean? Because like I said, unless you're saying to me, oh, I have sleep apnea or I snore very loudly. Listen, those of us who, and let me tell you something about this, also something very powerful about figuring out a problem. So for instance, let me give you an example of figuring out a problem. Figuring out a problem might be an issue like some people move around in that bed. No, you know, some people, when you sleep with them, they move around. Like, bro, before you know it, they are upside down and a different way. I'll tell you a quick story. I remember one girl that I slept in the bed with. Bro, she used to move all across the bed. You know what I'm saying to you? But also what I also clocked was, it's because she never really felt safe. And that doesn't mean that it was meant to be me. But until she got comfortable with me, she couldn't stop moving. It actually translated into her, the way that she would sleep, right? Once she got more comfortable and felt more safe, old girl was still as a plank. Still as a plank. You know what I mean? We had to work it out eventually, Okay? We had to work it out. AW said, I'm a light sleeper. I need a light on too. I can't snore anything disturbing my sleep. Wait, hold on. You're a light sleeper, but you need a light on. You see, you're an exception to the rule. I need lights off. I can sleep with the light on. Don't get it twisted. I just don't want to be sleeping with the light on. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, it's not that I can't do it. I just don't want to have to do it. That's my main thing. It's like, I don't want to have to actually do it. So that's my only thing with that. That's So I think, again, that's an exception to the rule. I'm a super light sleeper. I need lights on, which I think is very rare. Most people want their lights off when they're going to bed. So again, unique situation, which may require for there to be a change. You know what I mean? Right? So it's understandable. I mean, AW, do you have the light on until you sleep? And so when you wake up, the light's still on? I'm wondering. Tyler, thank you. Exactly. I need that extra. The Tyler knows exactly what I'm talking about. I need sometime with I have the You know I have the dead curtains. I don't want to see light, bro. I don't want to see light. You understand? I want to see darkness. You know what I'm saying to you? I want it to be so dark. I don't know what to say, but I just want it dark. You know what I mean? I can do the moonlight and all that kind of stuff. I'll still sleep. You know what I'm saying to you? But I prefer it that way. Okay? You know what I mean? So that's just my personal opinion again. All right? AW says, I sleep with the TV on volume low and the main hallway light on all night. Now, here's my thing. So let me just say this now. Let me say this now. If there was never any TV, because TV hasn't always been around, what would you have done? You know what I'm saying to you? Sleeping with a TV on, low volume, what would you have done if TV didn't exist? What would you have done if radio didn't exist? What would you have done without that? Do you know what I'm saying to you? So could it be, because I remember I used to sleep in a bed with a certain girl, and she needed music on to sleep, right? She needed music on. I said, listen, I don't mind you having music on. The music was actually kind of cold. I don't even lie to you. The music before bed was kind of cold. I just said to her, listen, I can't be listening to some crazy stuff before I go to bed. Like, doesn't make sense. Like, you're indoctrinating yourself. So if it's gonna be music, put some jazz on, put some soulful music on, something that's gonna be that when I wake up, I'm not agitated, bro, because that music's gonna speak to your spirit. So I don't want to be waking up in the morning with agitated spirit because of music. If you're gonna put that music on, put some soft, but some music that's gonna be calm. You know what I'm saying to you? So that I you know what I mean? I don't mind. Put a Bible on, put some worship on, something. We give you all the glory. We worship you, oh Lord. You know what I mean? So if that's what you want to do, see. And here's the thing: it was never a thing where it affected me. I said, listen, as long as the lights are off and you have that on the background, I'm gonna sleep. You know what I'm saying, Chew? I'm gonna sleep. I don't have a TV in my room. It's one of my things. I'm not having a TV in my room. Listen, shout out to the future missus, whoever she is. We don't do TV. I'm gonna tell you why I don't do TV in the room, right? What I notice is the amount of procrastination that ends up happening with a TV in your room. Now, that's not to say that phones aren't there. My thing is this: once we're in bed, phones need to be away. I'm not doing phones. One of the things I saw in, like, now, right? All my YouTube stuff is down here. I used to have when you guys first followed me, my YouTube was upstairs. It was the most inconvenient thing. I didn't sleep as I need to sleep because my YouTube will be up there, and then the TV will be up in that room as well. Before I knew it, I'm playing Xbox before I go to bed, or I'm watching a film before I go to bed, and I fall asleep with it. No. I started realizing the bedroom is a bedroom. I'm going into that room to sleep. I don't want anything in there. I don't want TV. I don't want laptops. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I can have my phone, but I don't tend to spend time on my phone. When I'm going to bed, I turn the phone over, I put it down, I put an alarm on it, and then boom, I go to sleep. Because I think a lot of us have got into routines with technology that is actually affecting your sleep. Like, you're re-engaging your mind before you go to bed. You know what I mean? So for me, I don't do those things. Not before bed. I don't do it. When it's the bedroom, I need that time to be bedroom time. And I think if you're a couple as well, if you're in a relationship as well, I think people should practice this more. I think you should practice this more. I think we should practice that, as a couple, that, you learn how to stop turning off any electronics before you go to bed. And I'm sure there's something that happens electronically as a wave to your brain as well. I'm sure there's something about that. You know what I mean? PL said, I used to be like that, but now I sleep with something on and turn it off when I wake up in the middle of the night. Fair enough. I hear that. Favored said at 2:20 a.m. B, to be honest, live with the phone. I hear it. I definitely hear it. I'm going to play this clip again I'm going to talk a little bit about this as well.
Sleeping in separate beds.
Hold on. Let me take this off. We give you all Zabarabara, the glory.
You're taking away the intimacy, which is a integral part of a marriage. I have clients who come in who say that they've been sleeping in separate beds for 5 or more years, and I'm sitting there going, and this is why you're here. Why? Because that intimacy is gone. The relationship has taken that out of it. And I think that personally, sleeping in the same bed is really important.
What do you think about spouses sleeping in separate beds?
It's not a good idea, because you're taking away the intimacy, which is a integral part of a marriage. I have clients who come in who say that they've been sleeping in separate beds for 5 or more years, and I'm sitting there going, and this is why you're here. Why? Because
And so, like I said, I think if again, I want to make it very clear. There's difference with it. Like I said, there are unique situations where some people will be okay with doing this, right? But I think for a lot of people, you are creating division in your relationship. Also, my thing is also this is something that I spoke to the Lord about, right? I'm sorry, yeah, but once my work is done, my work is done. My phone should not be coming in between me and my partner. I don't even like having phones at dinner. You understand what I'm saying to you? Let alone going to bed. Like when I'm going to bed, I'm fully concentrated on going to bed, or I'm gonna talk to you before I go to bed. I'm not in the business of now scrolling for my phone to see what I go on my phone. I think that's how you start getting yourself into stupid situations too. Like, we are a generation that's so dependent on things like technology at the most ill moment, times. Like, listen, unless you're a doctor, I don't even care unless you're like a doctor, maybe even a pastor, but even that pastor thing, you shouldn't be able to call me between my bedtime. You shouldn't be calling me. I'm sorry, I'm not God. God is there. Go and call him. But for me personally, I think for majority of us who work normal lives and normal jobs, I really do believe that, listen, your phone shouldn't be traveling into bed with you. When I say traveling to bed, what I mean by that is that it's not now you come to doom scroll. It's not now you're coming to doom scroll. Read a book, do something else. You know what I mean? Like, all that light in your eyes, it's not good for you, bro. You know, some of you got your mini pad, you've got your Kindle, and you're doing late night reading. Bro, your eyes are burning, bro. Come on. You know? I'm telling you, listen, it will change your routine. Take technology out, bro. I'm telling you, it will change you, bro. It will change you. A lot of us are addicted to I'm going to call it the electronic magnetic waves. You are. You know what I'm saying to you? Take it out. Okay? All right? Take it out when you're going to bed, when you're at dinner, when you're spending intimate times with people. Please, like, my pet peeve is that we're talking, we're having dinner, and someone is like, I just got to send this one text. Honestly, it's my pet peeve. Don't spend time with me, okay? All right? Don't spend time with me and then be on your phone. You see what I'm saying to you? Why are we doing that? You know what I mean? Like, you're robbing each other of that quality time. And again, it's not quantity, it's quality. You spend 8 hours at work and you can be on your phone all the time. So the time that you spend with your partner should not be robbed with stupid little messages that you don't need to respond to, TikTok that don't need to be scrolled on, Instagram that don't need to be scrolled on, YouTube doesn't need to be scrolled on. Let it go. Be focused and be present. The reason why I say this also is because a lot of people have an insecure attachment, and their inability to be present in the moment is actually why they're on their phones and on their Kindles. I see the same thing with parents and do the same thing with their kids. They're unable to be present with their kids, so they hand a phone or a tablet to the kid. It's not about, oh, we're in a new generation. No, a lot of us are lazy. We're lazy, and we're allowing technology to raise our kids and to spend time with them when this wasn't always there. You know what I mean? That wasn't always there. You know what I'm saying to you? Right? When I had my little siblings, you know, and I had to babysit, bro. Okay, a little bit of TV and that, but you have to be active, bro. I had to watch you. I had to make sure you're not going nowhere crazy. You know what I mean? I had to spend time with you. I had to get creative, you know? So like these intimate moments can get ruined when we're spending so much time with things that are not, they are now becoming a third party in your relationship. Your phone is a third party in your relationship. Your Kindle, your tablet, your iPad, you know, are becoming third parties in your relationships. Okay. So I'm just saying, you know, for people, you know, it's an important thing. If your connection in your relationship is starting to wane, maybe start looking how we can be more present. Let's start looking at how we can actually show up a bit more. Maybe let's strip back a little bit of the technology and get back to being, you know, old school and being present in that relationship and seeing, are we observing or are we allowing our technology to kind of dictate for us?
Because that intimacy is gone. The relationship has taken that out of it. And I think that personally, sleeping in the same bed is really important.
Okay, so I'm going to break down my main video. And then if you guys want to join, have your say, by all means, we'd love to hear your perspectives as well. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Let me see this. Okay. All right, so I'm going to put the link in the chat. And in fact, let me even do a little poll for you guys, well, to see what the consensus is. Okay, is, you know, to see what the consensus is. Okay. Let's see what it's even separate. Okay, here about your name, B. All right, I put a poll in there. I'd love to see what you guys' perspective is. Paprika says she got a question. Okay, well, maybe ask your question. Ask your question now, Paprika, before I start this thing. I hear it, AW. Same here. It's one of my pet. Honestly, it's really a pet peeve. Like, it actually, when I say there's very few things that jar me to a place, this one jars me to a place where I want to cuss somebody out. Like, that is the one. Okay, this one I've learned to be a bit more lenient. I understand it a bit more. But if I'm in a deep conversation, please stop doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, if but then again, I'm like, maybe you're not in the right, maybe it's my fault too for not choosing the right time to talk to you, because why are you at the market having a conversation with somebody random? Do you know what I mean? That can happen. But do you know what it is? Oftentimes it's not even the thing is, it's not even people on their phone that's or having another conversation. Is that the person has another conversation and has no clue where they are with you. So they're like, oh my God, hold on a minute, talking to somebody, come back to the conversation. Oh, what were you saying again? They don't even remember where they were in a conversation with you. At that point, I'm pissed off. You know what I'm saying to you? At that point, I'm pissed off. So I think the smart thing to do, be wise, is actually to start making sure the person's in the right place to have a conversation in the first place. Sometimes if you know the person's in the market or they're out and about, it's not the time to have a deep conversation. It's not the time to have a conversation that's meaningful to you. Keep it light. Okay? Keep it light. You know what I mean? Keep it light. Like, we have to read the room sometimes as well. For those of us who are very sensitive to those things, we've also got to read the room. They are out and about or they're doing something. It's not the right time. But you know, you're at home and you're having a conversation with me and I'm trying to have this conversation with you. Yeah, come on, like, you know? So I definitely understand that. Yeah, there are people who do side conversations, man. Okay. So I'm gonna play my clip and we're gonna start this conversation, okay?
Ladies that were sleeping in separate rooms. They can't fathom being in the same house with the man that they love and sleeping in separate rooms. Like, what? Josh and I have been married for 15 years. For the past 3 years, I would say our marriage has been a little shaky. I initiated Josh and I sleeping in separate bedrooms. So he's the one that moved to the guest bedroom. It's been about 2 months. Throughout the marriage, there are some things that I experienced that I haven't healed from. Trust is not there. And I want to see growth in my life, and I'm not seeing it. I just don't feel good in this space that I'm in. I'm trying to change that.
Okay, so let's pause it first and foremost, because we have to actually understand what's going on here. Okay, I think this is an indication of certain situations where I say that people in their relationships are beginning to drift. Okay, all right. So this is really important. Okay, first and foremost, there's underlying issues as to why they're not sleeping in the bed. It's not to do with snoring. It's not to do with the routine. It is simply to do with the fact that there is a mistrust in the relationship because something had broken the trust that's caused her to no longer want to feel intimately close with the man she's sleeping in the same bed with. Something has now triggered her to a point she cannot physically be in the same bed with that man. She cannot physically allow that man to be that close. She cannot physically allow herself to be that involved with this man, and because of the feelings that she had that are very strong, she's already started to physically distance herself from this man, which is going to lead to the eventual downfall of this relationship. Okay, so let's listen again and we'll try and pick up some of the clues as to what's happening here as well. Okay,
You know, I shared with the ladies that we're sleeping in separate rooms. They can't fathom being in the same house with the man that they love and sleeping in separate rooms. Like, what?
now pause it right here. The first thing that she has to say here is really interesting. She says she told the girls that they're sleeping in separate beds, and then ended up saying, but the other girls cannot fathom. And I want to listen to the wording she uses here. She says that other girls can't fathom sleeping in separate beds or separate rooms with the man that they love. I mean, that's very important. Okay. The question is, does she agree with their statement? Because if she loves the man, then I feel she may be feeling some type of way because she's not congruent with the group's perspective of saying, I love him, but. And I think that's what she needs to start working on. I don't even think he can save it anymore. I think this is work that she needs to do individually within herself. Okay. He's probably done something, but she needs to do that work within herself. But she's highlighting to us straight away that the girls are saying that it's not normal for them to want to love someone and not want to sleep in the same bed with them. Okay. So we've already got a group consensus of what is normal. So the moment she goes outside of that, it looks abnormal, which means more questions, which means she has to question her motive as to why she's even doing it as well.
What? Josh and I have been married for 15 years. For the past 3 years, I would say our marriage has been a little shaky.
Okay, so we've done 15 years, okay? 15 years, and the past 3 have been shaky. What's shaky? The word shaky is very broad. Something shook it, okay? Something has happened, and it has shooken the relationship. Is it me? Yeah? Something has happened, and it has shaken the relationship. And this is important. Okay? It's very important. Okay. Okay.
Initiated Josh and I sleeping in separate bedrooms. So he's the one that moved to the guest bedroom. It's been about 2 months. Throughout the marriage, there are some things that I experienced that I haven't healed from.
Now, the moment she says there's some things I haven't healed from, we can see a direct correlation with her not, okay, all right, with her not recovering from this wound and her making an active decision to move outside of the room. We'll just go back a little bit so we can understand what's going on. So there's a wound, and that's linking to an action now. And this is very important because what we have to do is when we try to help people see what's going on, we try to build an equation. I feel like X, Y, and Z. I feel like X, and X makes me act like Y, and that equals Z. We try to make it an equation so people can follow it, and it's clear for them to understand when they do X, it leads to Y, and Y equals Z. Okay, all right. So this is really interesting here. Okay.
Bedroom. It's been about 2 months. Throughout the marriage, there are some things that I experienced that I haven't healed from. Trust is not there. And
so we already know that there's things that she's gone through, but also trust is not there. So when trust is not there, that's going to make it very difficult for her to sleep in the same bed. What does she need in order to build trust again? What does she need in order to rebuild trust?
That moved to the guest bedroom. It's been about 2 months. Throughout the marriage, there are some things that I experienced that I haven't healed from. Trust is not there. And I want to see growth in my life, and I'm not seeing it. I just don't feel good in this space that I'm in. I'm trying to change that.
Okay, so she has to make it very clear what that she actually needs. Right? Now, of course, she hasn't told us, and I don't know. Maybe it was in a show and I haven't watched the show, so I don't know. Okay, but the key thing, okay, all right, the key thing is you need to make it clear what you need in order to rebuild trust. You need to be clear about what's going to help you be able to rebuild the trust, because already what's happened is we're in danger field. We're in a dangerous situation because at this particular point, we are already taking decisions to start separating ourselves physically and not sleep in the same bedroom. Very soon, it will not be the same house. And very soon, the big D word will be on the table. Okay? And so this is something that needs to actually be, needs to be worked out, because we'll be telling people big words. I don't trust you. I don't did it. Okay, what does that look like? Break it down for me. Make me understand. Right? Break it down for me. Make me understand, because we're not actually discussing we're not discussing how we can actually repair this relationship. And it takes two to tango. He needs to be willing to maneuver and do what she needs in order to rebuild trust, but she also needs to be able to communicate what it is that she needs from him in order to do so. Now, the trust hasn't come back, which means something hasn't been done that she was requiring or she expected. We don't know if she actually communicated that. So it's a lesson for all of us to learn that just because you're hurt by what your partner did, you also can't punish them with silence. I'm not saying that she is, but I'm saying you can't punish them with silence. You've decided to take them back, and you decided to move the relationship forward. You can't punish them with silence and punish them with, you should just know, right? We spoke about this earlier on in the video with the Brina Lee and the Javen situation. Can't punish them with this, just, you should know. We have to let people know that this is what we need. And that I've experienced X, Y, and Z, and I need more from you. This is what I need from you. Right? So I'll just play a little bit of the clip again, just so we can get a little bit of an understanding.
I would say our marriage has been a little shaky. I initiated Josh and I sleeping in separate bedrooms. So he's the one that moved to the guest bedroom.
So she initiated the separation. He moved to the guest room, so he's agreed. Okay, all right. And you know, in that space, you know, there needs to be a conversation. Okay, you're going to your guest room. I'm going to stay in the master room. Again, how do we repair the scenario? What would it take to repair it? Because clearly he hasn't done it, because that's why you pushed him out the room into the guest room.
It's been about 2 months. Throughout the marriage, there are some things that I experienced that I haven't healed from. Trust is not there. And I want to see growth in my life, and I'm not seeing it. I just don't feel good in this space that I'm in. I'm trying to change that.
So for her right now, she doesn't feel good about the space that she's in. And life is not life in the way she wants it to life. You know, we need to understand the deeper components of this. So here's what I suggest. Here's what I suggest in this scenario. Okay, what I suggest is that first and foremost, she lays out exactly what she needs from him. He has to also agree that this is something he wants to pursue in order to help repair the relationship. Now, if he stepped out or he was being, if he was, unfaithful, he also needs to let her know if there are things that she was doing or not doing that also affected him. That's a key thing too. You know? So if he's also not telling her the truth about what he needs from her too, he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same place again once more, and he could be back in that same doing the exact same thing he was doing before.
You know, I shared with the ladies that we're sleeping in separate rooms. They can't fathom being in the same house with the man that they love and sleeping in separate rooms. Like, what? Josh and I have been married for 15 years. For the past 3 years, I would say our marriage has been a little shaky. I initiated Josh and I sleeping in separate bedrooms. So he's the one that moved to the guest bedroom. It's been about 2 months. Throughout the marriage, there are some things that I experienced that I haven't healed from. Trust is not there. And I want to see growth in my life, and I'm not seeing it. I just don't feel good in this space that I'm in. I'm trying to change.
So she needs to see growth, which means she needs to see growth in him, basically. She's saying, I haven't seen growth in my life. Let's be specific, darling. You want to see growth in him, right? So it's not just growth. You want to see growth in actually him. Now, actually, I was on the post. I think she was commenting on her actual post as well. And I think, let me just see if I can get some of the comments, because she was commenting back to some people about this scenario as well. And speaking about it, okay. Yeah, she was. I think it's Color. Her name's Color Dior. And she had some comments which were quite interesting actually on the post. I thought it was quite interesting because she was defending herself, and I thought to myself, I wonder why she wants to defend her situation. Okay. So let's look at this too. Let me just put this so you can actually see this. This was actually quite interesting. Let's see. There we go. So she was in the comments, and I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So I don't know if you can see it. So, because someone was like, oh, be blessed. You might as well go ahead and end the marriage now, because talking about what's happening in your home to the world will bring more problems. She says, explain the many other marriages with problems that are not on TV. The formula needs to change. We need to start talking. It will save other marriages. I don't know if she commented any other ones. Someone else said, what the F? Baby, if you can't get over, then separate completely. That's trying to have too much control. You want to watch him, but want to keep him at arm's length because you don't trust him. Shake my head. He cheated or broke your trust while sleeping in the same. What the hell you think sleeping in separate rooms will do? She said loud and wrong as well. So I'm surprised because she's in this is own TV's network. So she's in quite a few the comment. I think in quite a few, 1 or 2 comments or whatever. So I don't know what other one she was in. I just remember those two. Those one there, but and I think obviously does she have a point? Okay, does she have a point? Can I just be honest with you? Reality TV ruins marriages because you expose yourself for far too much than you need to. I've always said this, like you sell your marriage to the devil when you go on reality TV, because that in order to be successful on that reality TV, you have to expose yourself in a particular way that causes more issues than actual good. There's a level of privacy that your relationship needs and requires that being on reality TV doesn't often offer. And it's why most couples suffer. They don't get you at first, they'll get you by the end. Right? The drama sells, the chaos sells, the stupidity sells, the nonsense sells, the evil sells. You know what I mean? But seeing people be healthy doesn't always sell. And so what ends up happening is you end up feeding into the negativity that ruins your relationship. Now, I'd say that our good sis here is on the edge. You know? I would say our good sis is on the edge. You know what I mean? Because now what's happening is she's got a whole bunch of opinions that is now a whole bunch of energy entering her relationship, whether she likes it or not. As a man, I wouldn't actually, as a man, I wouldn't take my marriage onto reality TV. I don't think that's a very loving and protective thing to do to my partner. To expose your partner to a world who can comment upon your relationship from anywhere in the world without knowing nothing that's going on is unsolicited opinions, including my own, that's going to be voiced into your relationship. And whether you pretend or not that you can or can't hear those things, you're going to hear thoughts. And every time you read a comment, every time you read someone's statement, every time you read someone's thought process, is actually beginning to shift what you know to be true about your relationship. And that could be for the good or the bad, but usually it's the bad, right? When you start hearing people say, you deserve better. Girl, why are you with that man? It could never be me. And you're going to hear all of these thoughts. It's no different to Satan in the Garden of Eve and Adam. Too many thoughts, too many cooks, spoiling the broth. So I'd advise you not to be able to do that. You know what I mean? But I get it, you know, I get it. The allure of reality TV, I get it. I understand. You know, I'm just saying, like, I think a lot of times when you now start that slippery slope of now saying we're going to separate in this space and you're not going to, you're going to be separate, it should be temporary. It shouldn't be a long-term thing, because right now you're in a danger zone. He has needs, you have needs, right? Okay. First and foremost, there is literally no chance of sex happening at this point. I shouldn't say no, that's right, that's a lie. But you reduce your chance of sex, and sex is also a part of the repair thing. I mean, you should have a conversation first, but I'm just saying, sex is a massive thing of repairing relationships, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's a major thing. You take away that spontaneity a little bit, right? Now it's almost like, you know, you got to come in someone else's room, and I hear it. It can be a little bit naughty as well, nice, but you know, the spontaneity of being next to each other and the touching and you can't do that as a married couple because you're sleeping in separate beds, which means the communication has to be sharp in order to cover. You know what I mean? The communication has to be sharp in order to cover, and be able to really break down some aspects as well, right? But yeah, of course, if he cheated, then it's slightly different. They need time to recuperate. You need time to recuperate. But look, I would love to hear some opinions. If I want to get opinions, if no one joins, then I can go to bed. You know what I mean? We'll do it. We'll be back here next week. But if no one joins, my time is up. You know what I mean? I can go to my bed, you know? But I would love to hear some opinions and some thoughts around this issue in terms of, obviously, sleeping in the same bed. Does it ruin marriages? Your thought process. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Does it ruin marriages? I love that as well. Yes, I think separate rooms should have an agreed deadline. Absolutely. I think there should be a time limit on that so that people know that it's not permanent and it's not how do we say, it's not unlimited, so that people don't get used to this. You know that you're going back there. You know that by the time that 2 months is done, we have to come back. It sounds like I don't know if it sounds like they have a time limit for them. I don't sound like they got a time limit for themselves. Doesn't sound like they got a boundary on that in terms of, oh, okay, you know. Someone said, what if they want it permanent? I think that's slightly different. Yeah, let's say for the married, it would be good. If you married, it would be good to have your thought process. We'd love to hear your thought process, you know. If you married, it would be good to hear from you. We'd love to hear some thoughts. If you married. If you're single, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. But if you're married, it definitely helps. Gives a level of authenticity and a bit of weight to their opinions as well. If you're married, let us know. I definitely think that's an issue. Okay. Someone said the married folk just want to stick their business in, stick their noses in single folks' business. I hear it. I hear it. Married folk be silent. They're trying to. Married folk be silent. They're trying to. They're spending time doing the right things to make sure their relationship stays intact. They ain't got time for the shenanigans. Yeah, my eye is twitching. Well, listen, look, guys. You know what, man? Since no one's coming up, my time is up. You know what I mean? Maybe God's trying to tell me I gotta take myself to bed. Maybe that's what it is. You know what I mean? Maybe the Lord's telling me, listen, you done enough. Come back. Come rest yourself. Come rest your weary heart. Someone said Elsa's married in the chat. Yes, she is. But I don't think she's in the chat. She's doing work right now. She's busy. Okay. Well, listen, look, guys. My time is up. The hour has reached. You know what I mean? You see me? Someone say to rest for myself. I'm gonna rest for myself, guys. I promise. No shenanigans. All right. No shenanigans. People, I'm out. Say peace. I'll be back next week. I'm committed to this thing. We're gonna get people on the panel, I promise. So I'm committed to this thing. So make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification uploads. I appreciate you. Say lots of love. We'll see you again soon. Much love.